Thermal Sound Wave. It is Thermal Sound Waves, the natural alternative to fast food radio. We hear C.Truth, Kev Lawrence. Right now, we have a guest that's joining us, coming in to the house, you know what I'm saying, from the DMV area. Y'all know that as D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and all that. He's coming out of Northeast D.C., you know what I mean? And he's going to break it down because people in D.C., they have an understanding of the different regions and the different territories and what's what. And people in PG County also, there are differences. You can't just generalize. I know this from going down there and from, knowing some people in the areas and such. But we're going to let Priest Da Nomad, artist extraordinaire, MC, you know what I'm saying, engineer, producer, artist in general, thinker, and unapologetically black, as he says. Priest Da Nomad, what's going on, sir?
What's happening, brother? C.Truth, appreciate you, man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
Up in D.C., man, up in the city.
No doubt, man. So let people know a little bit about Priest Da Nomad. First of all, you were raised in PG County, which is Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So when did you actually move to? Well, you were born in D.C. You were raised in PG County. Yeah.
So I was born in Northeast in Brentwood, in that section of D.C. But I was raised in Prince George's County, in PG County.
Gotcha.
So but the whole scene that I'm a part of in D.C. is part of a corridor, an art scene on U Street in Northwest D.C., close to Howard University. So that's that's what I represent as far, because there was nothing, everything that I've done over my 30-year lifespan of doing arts and stuff has always been in DC. That's where the scenes have been. There's been nothing. I mean, there's stuff in Maryland now, and PG stuff now. Of course, Baltimore, which is a world away from us ideologically and all that stuff, has their own scene, and it's much love between a lot of artists here and a lot of artists of Baltimore. But you're talking about DC, man, it's everything that's been in the city. So when we say DC, even though I was, born in DC and raised in PG, but the whole scene, everything we've done is representing the U Street art scene in DC and Northwest.
Absolutely, no doubt. Now, what's the difference between Northeast DC, Southeast DC? Because we had Clifton Powell on the show before. He's from Southeast. So what's the difference between Northeast and Southeast?
Yeah, so for those who don't know DC, man, we divided up into 4 quadrants. Y'all say boroughs in New York. We say quadrants here, and they're just all rows, and it's divided by different streets that lead to the Capitol building, the actual Capitol. So that divides the quadrants. So you have Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, and Southeast, and then Maryland and Virginia, which is considered the bordering portions of Maryland and Virginia that borders D.C. on the different sides. Prince George's County borders, PG County borders D.C. on the northeast and southeast side. So I was on the northeast side and then moved to PG County on the northeast side. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the southeast is, outside of that is like the Oxford Hills and Temple Hills and all that. And then the northwest side is Montgomery County. That's what borders northwest in Maryland. So Maryland borders D.C. in 3 sides except for southwest. That's where Virginia is. If you know the history, like what part of Virginia was actually before it was D.C. It got annexed back to Virginia back in the, I feel like the 1800s, something like that, 1800s or whatever, became part of Virginia again. So that borders it. Virginia is the only, you have to go over water to get to Virginia. So where the D.C. and Maryland is so linked close together because there's only a street that divides D.C. and Maryland. Like one side of the street is D.C., the other side of the street is Maryland. So you have like Eastern Avenue that divides Maryland from D.C.
right
in one side, and then Southern Avenue on the other side. So I mean, literally, the cultures are really, 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 pretty much the same because everybody always go back and forth across the line. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So,
Yes, indeed. It's Thermal Sound Waves, the natural alternative. We're talking to artist Priest Da Nomad here on the program. Now, you are a pioneer of the historic U Street resurgence and just building that whole thing up. Now, what exactly did you play a role in as far as that goes?
Yeah, so U Street, the U Street district in DC has a real rich history. Back in after slavery and Reconstruction, all the way up to Jim Crow. Of course, if you know anything about DC and that history, you know about the black businesses and the Lincoln Theater, the Howard Theater, all of those those places. So that was the original U Street before the riots that happened in '68. When King got shot. Mm-hmm. So it was all messed up until the 90s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They started building it back up, and then eventually had a metro station there, a subway station, around 96. So I was with a arts organization called the Freestyle Union, and we were
I heard of them.
Yeah, with Tony Blackman and everything. She went to Howard. She was from Cali, but she went to Howard.
Tony. I love Tony Blackman.
Yeah, so I'm part of that. I was part of that organization, man, and we started in Southeast, but then we moved to U Street, and that was right when things, the cafe people, a couple cafe owners trying to get people to come there because it was still hood. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So nobody wanted coming down there. So of course, artists are always the first to gentrify, right?
Right.
We from all these places, so we ain't scared to go nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same thing it is up in New York and all other places, man. We from these places, so
right.
We went down there. We was doing ciphers, and then it started. That's why a lot of the crews in DC connected through the Freestyle Union.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And so the types of rap in DC was divided between the street rappers. That was on the thug time and that was closely aligned to go-go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But we was about the culture. You know what I'm saying? We was like really influenced by the culture, hip hop. So we was more so in line with the four elements. You know what I'm saying? So U Street encompassed all that.
Right.
So yeah. Gotcha. So that's what we was. So we Freestyle Union, a number of cats that came through that scene, and we were all part of that. And then we poets, they started having poetry open mics things. So many people came through that scene, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not just all types of stuff, jazz, soul, R&B, my man Raheem Devon. So many people came through the U Street scene, and it's generational now. You know what I'm saying? Wale and them came through there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Eventually. So we were the first generation of the resurgence of U Street in the 90s.
Gotcha. It's Thermal Sound Waves, the natural alternative to fast food radio. We're here talking to artist Priest Da Nomad, giving you a lot of history that you normally don't get about DC and that whole hub down there. It's a lot of things, man, to touch upon that. I mean, we ain't gonna go through it all. We don't got time for all that, but there's a rich history. Y'all need to really, really research and find out about that. Of course, for those that go back, since we talking radio, I mean, there's Petey Green with that whole situation that he was doing down there.
Yep.
Watch the movie Talk to Me with John Cheadle to get some history as far as that goes. But y'all need to learn about that as well, and about how the murder of Martin Luther King actually changed things as far as what he was doing and all of that. But that's a whole other story. But anyway,
indeed, yes, definitely check that movie out.
Yes, indeed. As an engineer, like how and when did you pick up that particular skill?
I went to I became an engineer around the early 2000s, man. I was just rhyming. You know what I'm saying? Hustling on the independent end. So, I'm working, waiting tables, doing stuff like that. I used to work at B.Smith's restaurant. I know there was one that used to be in New York.
Yeah.
There was one in D.C. at Union Station. So I worked with Barbara Smith and them down in D.C. at that spot, man. And then, I just wanted to add more, man, and really to get involved with the totality and be able to really be immersed in the industry. And also, and I was always told I had a good ear.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I used to sit on the mixing sessions and stuff, and cats would be like, man, you should become an engineer. And I'm a living proof, man, that you ain't really got to be a technical dude. You can learn all that, you know what I'm saying? But you can't learn hearing.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
So I went to school at a school that they got down here. In fact, my man, Young Guru, that's my dog, who's Jay's engineer. And we both went to the same school at Omega. It's called Omega School of Recording Arts and Sciences.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they have a studio. It's just some people just say Omega Recording Studios.
Okay.
It's in Rockville, Maryland. Mm-hmm. I went there, and then I freelanced in the field for a while, and then they called me back there to take over a lot of the hip hop, our music,
right.
Hip hop, R&B, gospel. So I was there. I worked there for like 5 years. As one of their engineers and stuff, and then worked with a lot of folks, a lot of stuff with Dru Hill, some with Luda, Biz. I was doing a lot of stuff. Biz is my big bro. Rest in peace, man. So I was doing stuff when he was doing the Yo Gabba Gabba stuff.
Right.
For Cartoon. Now I was doing a lot of those recordings. I did stuff with him, and when he was did on Bumpy Knuckles album, the Pop Duke album, I recorded his vocals on that in different studios and stuff. So, you know what I mean? So it's just, and then I do a lot of work for a lot of the local artists here, man, a lot of mixed work. So. Gotcha.
It's Thermal Soundwaves. We're talking to Priest Da Nomad here on the program. And you know what? Big up to B.Smith, because B.Smith's like that restaurant and that spot was a spot where a lot of actors and artists work in order to make some money to help with their craft. Like that was an infamous spot where you would go there and there would be like all kinds of talent. Like we're working there.
They had the piano in the front, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Everybody came through there. Stevie came and played the piano. Like, so Barbara Smith, man, shout out to rest in peace.
Yes.
Barbara Smith, man, she really supported artists.
Yes, she did.
Like, and so she really, really had it for artists. So as long as you restaurant well,
right.
She would definitely support you and stuff. So, we used to, rhyme in that joint, freestyle, and, do shows and go from there from my shifts, do shows on, on U Street and stuff. So, yeah.
It's Thermal Soundwaves, the natural alternative to fast food radio. We hear C.Truth, Kev Lawrence, yes, indeed, talking to Priest Da Nomad, artist, producer, engineer, thinker, unapologetically black, you know what I mean, as he says and as he stands by. Now, with all the work that you did on the engineering tip and all the people that you work with, like, how did that help what you have going on as far as your music and your work that you have out?
Oh, it was invaluable, man. I actually became a better artist once I became an engineer. You know what I'm saying? Because I worked with a lot of with major label producers and stuff who really in hip hop, man, a lot of cats really confuse producing with beat making. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the beat maker may or may not be a producer, right? But really, the art of beat making is really writing. You know what I'm saying? So you really writing the music if you're making the beats. Now, if you're overseeing the whole process and you overseeing the artist and the mixing and all that type of stuff, then yeah, you're a producer, right? So I worked with a lot of producers who employed beat makers, right? Especially in gospel. Like I would work with Richard Smallwood and cats would have 2 or 3 programmers, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So I just kind of learned the different roles. And I learned how to pick, I could hear beats, and I worked with a lot, DC is a live music city, man. So, go-go and all of that. And we have tons of musicians, R&B musicians, jazz musicians. So we spoil, man. So like I can get beats. I hear beats and I can say, okay, we need some more keyboard work, or we need, what, a horn section would be dope. So I start producing over beats. Gotcha. So every time I pick beats from beat makers that I work with, a lot of times the beats that you hear, it's me doing extra production over them. Like Cass will give me a template, they'll give me a beat, and I'll be like, all right, cool, I'll pick it. And I'd be like, yeah, they don't oversee nothing. Like I say, I get and I oversee the production process. I mix it, arrange it, all of that stuff, and they get the final copy. That's how we work.
Right.
Whether I'm working with, cats like Odyssey or Kev Brown or, who are producers in their own right. You know what I'm saying?
Those are some dope cats too.
Those are producers, you know what I'm saying? But I have that trust when they know, everybody know that they working with me. Oh, Priest got it. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
They'll be like, oh, Priest, we'll just get it on the Priest. And I'll just let them hear it when I'm done. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, that, because I understand the sensibilities and I understand, the vibe and everything. So
no question. Yeah, big up to them cats too, man. Odyssey and Kev Brown.
Yeah,
those
family,
are some
man.
really, really like incredible artists right
there. Those my little brothers.
No doubt. It's Thermal Soundwaves. We here, man, talking to Priest Da Nomad, C.Truth and all that. You put out a post with, I guess, is like Priest Da Nomad manifestos or some things that people should understand when it comes to artists. I'm gonna call out a couple of them, and you could like just go into expand upon what you were getting out when you were talking about this. We aren't in music to get laid. Just because you haven't heard of us doesn't mean we aren't successful. And let's see what else. Keeping time means something very different to us. And there are many more levels of musician than starving artist and chart-topping superstar. So you had about 10 of them, but I'm going to leave it with those 4.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm not going to take credit for that. That was a friend of mine, a fellow musician's post that I reposted. My man Daryl Hunt, who got it from his other sister, Roz White. So we all in the same community. So when he posted it, but of course, it resonated with so many folks because once the game changed as far as music, the music industry, right, and there's no longer this massive, individual, one person has one role, right, type of situation. You got everybody's moving indie, right, pretty much. But you still need to handle the same things. You need a team, or you need to make sure you have people that can, if they're wearing multiple hats, the functionality is still the same, right? And that's what gets lost a lot of times. But yeah, there's a lot of levels. I think, nowadays when you find musicians that are professional touring musicians and stuff and artists, they got multiple gigs. Multiple streams of income. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whether they're doing something else in the arts or doing whatever, or they doing something on the admin side, working at publishing companies or doing whatever, man, you wearing multiple hats, multiple streams of income, because I think the pandemic taught a lot of people, man, that you can't just be relying on one thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's facts.
A lot of people got messed up, man, when that show money and that touring money, that stuff got dried up. Right. A lot of people had to innovate. I think it woke a lot of people up to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was already engineering. I was already doing stuff. And, unfortunately, our hip hop scene here isn't as, we don't do because of it's always a challenge because of go-go and that element that, we're always like the subculture. So, it's not as prominent as far as like the weekly shows and stuff, all that as much. You do stuff, periodically and stuff, but there's a lot of support with DJs and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So we get a lot of support as far as the music, but the venues is more so set up, because we're just not a huge enough demographic, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. And so we do a lot more nationwide and worldwide than we necessarily do in the city, but all that matters, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's just I think things have changed, and a lot of people's cliche views on what the music industry and whatever, what it is and what it has to be, especially for the youngers that are coming up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, you got to understand, I tell cats all the time, you want to be a producer, okay, learn how to engineer and also learn licensing and learn publishing, you know what I'm saying? And learn all these things, you know what I'm saying?
For real. No doubt. It's Thermal Soundwaves. We here, man, talking to Priest Da Nomad, artist, engineer, producer extraordinaire. That's a couple more things. Real quick, so does go-go and hip-hop, is there a friction between the two, or do the genres like get along pretty much?
Nah, there's no friction, man. There's no friction as far as the music. There's never been a friction with the music. There was at one time a View, and I have a documentary that is going to be coming out. It deals with a lot of that stuff. Is on my 30-year plus story, and all the stuff that has gone through there. But in the 90s, man, as like if you know the history, a lot of people don't understand the history of like DC was involved with hip hop from the very beginning, because a lot of the DJs, a lot of those break beats and stuff that you hear, you know what I'm saying? The Ashley Roachcliffs, the Chuck Brown Soul Searchers, all that stuff, Trouble Funk. A lot of those breaks, man, are from DC bands.
Right.
Go-go and hip hop, right? And just DC artists, period, right? So there was a lot of love. But what happened in the 90s is the street thing. The street thing happened with the drugs and all that type of stuff because of the crack era in the early 90s when, Alpo, the drug dealer from New York, was coming down here. A lot of dudes from New York was coming down here. And it became friction, right? So a lot of friction on the streets. And what happened, because go-go was the music of the neighborhoods, the music street is our music, a lot of the, if anything that was associated with New York at a certain time, that's definitely not the case no more. But at a certain time, and that was during my heyday, my first probably 10 year, it was hard because everything that we was doing, it was like, oh man, y'all doing that Bama stuff, that New York stuff.
Right.
It was looked at it like that because I think everybody just had the lens on. Yeah. Oh, a lot of people come down to DC and take, man, because we don't belong to a state. We're a transient area. We have a lot of universities. We're the nation's capital. A lot of students. So a lot of people come here for opportunities and everything, but a lot of people don't really have, they come here and don't respect, the city and the area and what the culture is. A lot of things going on. So I think there's been some resentment in that, and I think there wasn't a wide thing with hip hop. Like, no, not a hate, but there was a thing where, okay, that's that stuff over there.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
We got our own thing, right? But that's definitely changed, man, because there's, the new generation. That was a certain generation. The Gen X generation in the 90s had a lot of that stuff happening. But we stood strong, man. We held our flag because even though we did what we did, but we always represented our area. You know what I'm saying? We always represented DC.
Right.
And we knew what we was doing was dope.
Right.
It's like, man, y'all catch up.
Absolutely.
And shout out to the cats who, like my big bro DJ Cool, who blended the two. He blended go-go and hip-hop. He made, he had a lot of love, and that's Melly Mel and them generation, you know what I'm saying? So that's his people. He talks to them every week, you know what I'm saying? So he has a lot of admiration and love for those cats, but then he's also a real icon in the go-go arena. Yeah. So, it's like, but Cool used to come to U Street. That's how we met. That's how we linked up. And I remade one of his, his joints from my Receipts album. Music Ain't Loud Enough. So, yeah, man. So there's people that always held the flag.
Right.
It was like, man, y'all tripping because that was some neighborhood street stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And for real, dudes that came down here that was big always had love for go-go bands like Dougie Fresh. You know what I'm saying?
No question.
Dougie Fresh, certain people that come down here because they embrace go-go. And the go-go bands would hit their songs, you know what I'm saying? And things, but I think when DC really got on hip hop, it was more down south. It was more like Scarface, Devin the Dude, you know what I'm saying, or out west, Compton's Most Wanted, Pop, it was that type of thing.
Right.
You know
No question.
But we was on the boom bap soul.
Yeah. When you mentioned Freestyle Union and all that, and Tony Blackman, so I know exactly the type of stuff you're on, and Odyssey and all them, and Kev Brown, like that whole. Yep. I know all that's where I'm at. Like that's how I grew up.
The union was the start of that whole movement, man. And Odyssey and Kevin, like those kids were people that used to watch us in high school.
Wow.
Like they used to come see us in ciphers when they was in high school or middle school, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then they, and it just went generation.
Well, when is the documentary coming out?
Yeah, so we done with the editing and stuff. I'm mixing it right now. I'm actually sound designing. So I'm getting tracks. I'm doing. Got probably halfway through of laying the music and stuff to it. So, and then I'll be mixing it. So, I'm looking to do basically screenings and then like some film festivals early next year.
Okay.
But it'll be cool. So the name of the documentary is called "I Was the Weirdo," and it was basically because what we was doing was looked at the weirdo stuff right here in DC. So. But yeah, I got, cats like, of course, DJ Cool, other icons here, Nonchalant, man, Stinky Dink, those folks from that arena, Question Mark Asylum, if you remember those cats.
I do. Yes, 90s, I do.
Yeah, they on the dock. I got, a lot of U Street cats, my man Kokai, number of people's on it, and Cy Smith, the Boy Barn, like a lot of the soul music cats. And then I got, media, radio DJs and stuff here. So I got cats from all arenas that are talking because we're all talking about these different topics that are not been discussed. Like that DC New York street thing, that's barbershop talk. That's never been really discussed in a public documentary.
Yeah, publicly. But if you from either spot, and like I know because I'm from Brooklyn originally, so I know, and I know Harlem cats too, so I know and cats from DC know that too, and if you're from a certain generation too, like you can see it in the eyes too sometimes, like when people come across, it's like,
well, that crack era was that was different, man. Like, if you grew up in it's that thing, man. It was a different time, man.
Absolutely.
So and I think it's really important that that these things are just really, especially for the people who are outside the city and don't know, nationwide and worldwide, but also for people that are in the city and stuff like that, and also like cats don't understand hip hop theater. pretty much was really, really cultivated here, because I was in my homegirl Camilla Forbes, who was the executive producer at the Apollo Theater right now. You know, she's on a documentary along with Ta-Nehisi Coates, the author.
Wow.
Ta-Nehisi used to write there, the City Baby. These are Howard people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was in hip hop theater with Camilla with a play called Rhyme Deferred, me and Chadwick Boseman. You know what I'm saying? So that's all they, like, her and Chad were real tight, real close and everything. So, like, that's all in the documentary. You know what I'm saying?
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
I
man.
can't
So
wait.
the thing is, a lot of people don't know how so many things and so many people got their bones down here in D.C. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're like Camilla's from Chicago, Tony Black from Cali, right? A lot of New York folks. Tracy Lee, Young Google, they all on the dock.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm part of that too, because Howard University, you know, U Street is right by Howard. So we had a lot of from Howard from generations, man. So, like, Tracy and Google are my generation.
Gotcha.
Right, you know, coming up with them.
Yeah.
And guys don't know Young Goose DJ for Nonchalant. That's how he got into the game.
She is dope too. Like, a lot of people need to find out who Nonchalant is. Like, she had such a different vibe, but she was like so, like, what she did was like so dope. It was so different, but it was so dope.
Yeah. And first black, you know, being the first black woman to like here to do a song about social, like she did it on like the streets and like the whole social, economic, you know, thing with the streets. Yeah. Like 5 o'clock in the morning. That's what that was.
Yes.
Right?
Y'all look that up, y'all, on YouTube right now. Y'all watch that video. Go check for that video, like, right now. Y'all need to get this history.
Shout out for big sis Nonchalant.
Yeah, well, listen, we could. I'm gonna have to have you back, because, like I said, there's so much stuff. I already knew before I started talking to you that there was gonna be stuff that
2-bottle whiskey conversation.
That we gotta unpack. But we don't keep it here for now. We gonna do more later down the road. Especially when the doc comes out, I'm gonna have you come back when that drops and you start screening and all that. But we've been on the Frequency match with J Hill. That's from your EP. That's out now, or that's coming out?
No, the EP is coming out. I'm about to drop another single, another joint I'm getting together now. You're gonna love it. So it's gonna be like 3 or 4 joints on it. I'm gonna just do vinyl and all that type of stuff. So it's gonna be something, you know, something slight while the doc's getting done. But the EP is called Vibrate High.
There you go.
So I just think it's time for some high frequency stuff, man. It's too much, you know.
Yeah. And
too much crap going on.
Big up to Rex, who was on that same type of like energy where he was, you know, he's releasing 30-something projects this year and whatnot. And we had him on the show, and what he was talking about was incredible, and on the same type of stuff that you're talking about, vibrate high, frequency, and all that. Like, so it's definitely in that pocket. That's where we at right now. That's where we need to keep it for right now, and let people know your social medias where they can find out more about you, hear your music, and all that. Absolutely,
the best thing to do probably is just Google Priest Da Nomad, Priest space DA space NOMAD. I'm at Priest Da Nomad on Instagram. Definitely check the Bandcamp if you want the whole catalog. I'm on all streaming services and everything. Just Priest Da Nomad will get you everywhere you need to be.
Absolutely, no doubt, man. Make sure you check for the brother, man. He definitely does some quality material, and if you need your work improved, he can engineer it for you and make it, you know, sound a lot better.
Yes. You got that mix work on.
Yes, indeed. Well, listen, thank you for taking some time out, man, and joining us on the program. We do appreciate it, man, for real.
Yes, indeed, man. I appreciate y'all having me, man, for real.
Absolutely. All right, man. Enjoy.
Right, y'all take care.
Yes, indeed. Peace. It's Thermal Sound Waves, a natural alternative to fast food radio. We hear C.Truth, Kev Lawrence. Thermal Sound Wave.